Today I'm going to make something called chicken handi. Now what a handi is, it's an earthenware pot that this is cooked in. Now I don't have one at home and I'm sure you guys don't, so we're going to make do with a karai or a wok. So let's crack on. Hob on ghee, quite a bit of ghee in because we're going to be frying. Let that melt and let that get very hot. And we're going to fry these onions quickly in. We're basically just making fried onions. So you fry these until they are a dark golden brown. Almost burnt, but not quite. So you can see the onions have browned nicely. Now what I'm going to do is take them out. So we remove the onions. In the same ghee, we're going to add chopped garlic. Saute the garlic, careful not to burn it. Then we're going to add the chopped tomatoes. So the garlic's taken on a little bit of colour. It's going to soften the tomatoes a little bit. Smells divine. So now I'm going to add the fried onions that we had before back in. Give it a little stir. So now I'm going to add some ginger paste, a good teaspoon. Now for some cumin, about a teaspoon. Crushed coriander. Give that a stir. You may be wondering, she hasn't added any green chilli. That's next. Put those in, give that a stir. And now my powdered spices, some turmeric, a bit of salt, and some chili powder. Give that a nice stir. And now for the chicken. I have 750 grams here, which I've washed and chopped. This is chicken thigh. Let's just pop that in. You can use chicken breast if you so wish. But as a lot of you know, I'm a thigh kind of girl, more flavour. Give that a quick stir. So now you need to fry this until it's almost cooked, until we move on to the next stage. So I had this as a child. We used to live on a road called Bernard Road, and my mum's best friend was a lovely Muslim lady called Shammi Auntie. So hi Shammi Auntie if you're watching. She lived at the top of the road and we lived at the bottom of the road, and she'd always make something at the weekend and send it down to our house, and my mum would make some Punjabi food and send it to hers. So this is something that she used to make quite regularly. Obviously I don't think she had a handi at home either. She made it in a wok like this. So this is a little trip down memory lane for me. Well, the chicken is almost done. I'm just going to cover it for about 5 minutes, give it a little steam. All right, let's check on the chicken. Lovely. So you know that it's done when the ghee has separated from the masala and it's coated the chicken. Now, we're on the final furlong, guys. Bear with me. So I'm going to add about a cup of yogurt, which I've beaten. Pour that in. I'm going to add a few more sprinklings of coriander seed and, of course, my favorite fragrant herb, dried fenugreek. Now we need to give this a good stir. Mix it all in. Look at that. So you can see that it's transformed, and it's going to be a little fattening because, you guessed it, cream. Pour a little bit of cream over. About half a cup. Final stir. Oh yes. So now a little bit more of the fenugreek and a bit of garam masala, homemade of course. Final stir and you're done. And there you have it, my chicken handi. Garnish with a few green chilies, just to, you know. And there you have it, guys, my version of chicken handi as made by Shammi Auntie from Bernard Road in Birmingham. Enjoy!
Today I am making a quick party recipe which is a traditional Chettinad style chicken ghee roast. I've got 1 kg chicken with bone here. To this I'm going to add the juice of 1 lemon and half a bowl of yogurt. Just give it a good mix with your hands. To this I'm now going to add half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. Now just leave this aside for a minimum 1 hour. If you're keeping it for more than an hour, just refrigerate it. For step 2, just take a thick bottomed pan. To this I'm going to add about 10-15 dry red chilies, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, about 2 teaspoons again of coriander seeds, 1.5 teaspoon of cumin seeds, another teaspoon of fenugreek seeds. Give it a good mix. You just want to dry roast it, but you don't want to burn it. So just make sure that it's not burning. So this is how you want it. It's not completely black as yet, but it's a lovely golden brown. So I'm just going to switch it off right now and let it rest for a good 5 minutes and let it cool to room temperature. So now that my spices have cooled down, I'm going to put it in a mixing bowl. To this, I'm going to add 7 to 8 cloves of garlic. My tamarind had already been soaking in the water for a good 30 minutes. So I'm just going to use that water to grind the spices in. So this is how you want it. As you can see, it's really fine and that's how you want it. While you're mixing, it might get difficult to get that consistency. So for the same, just make sure you keep bringing all your masalas together in sort of a little mound and keep grinding it. So now let's go to the next step. Take a thick bottomed pan, ideally use a frying pan like this itself, which is shallow, and pour some ghee in it. I'm going to take about 1/4 cup of this. If you can't find ghee, the next best alternative is butter. Now to this, we're going to add our marinated chicken piece by piece. I have used chicken that is with bone, but if you're serving as a starter snack, you could choose to use boneless chicken. So just toss it around. We just want it to cook a little in the ghee itself. Just make sure your chicken is not more than like 70% cooked because we are going to put it back in the pan. Just removing the pieces that I think are done now. So the rest of the yogurt mix that's remaining, I'm going to add it to the pan. And give it a good mix. I'm going to take out this remaining stock and put it in a bowl. We will come back to it. Okay, just put it in there. Now in the same pan, add the ground masala. You just want to cook the masala so that the raw smell of it goes away. Now to this, I'm going to add some more ghee, about 2 tablespoons of it. Make sure you're cooking this on a low flame. Now to this, we're going to add the stock that we had kept aside from the chicken. Add some salt at this stage. Now to this, I'm going to add some jaggery, maybe 1.5 teaspoons. Okay, give it a good mix. Now to this, I'm going to add the cooked chicken piece by piece. As you're putting the chicken in, make sure you keep coating the masala on the chicken just to sort of make sure it's even. Just put it on a low flame and leave it for the next 5 minutes. So my chicken is cooked through and through. I'm just going to take it out. But before I take it out, I'm going to add some curry leaves to it just at the end and switch off the gas. Just give it a good mix. Just take it out. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. This dish tastes great just by itself. You could also have it with rice, roti, bread. I mean, the possibilities are really endless.
Today I'm going to make a curry using my two favorite ingredients, if you don't know by now, chicken and onions. This recipe is called Chicken Do Pyaaza, so let's get cracking. Right, here I have 750 grams of chicken thigh on the bone. And normally I use boneless, but today I'm going to use on the bone because of the flavour. So to my chicken, I'm going to add about half a tablespoon or so of ginger and garlic paste and a little bit, maybe half a teaspoon of chili powder. Give that a stir. So the chicken's marinated. I'm going to leave that to one side while I crack on with the rest of the recipe. Right, hob on. Let's put a good amount of ghee in. Let that melt. I'm going to add a couple of teaspoons of ginger and garlic paste. We fry off the ginger and garlic paste until it takes on a bit of colour and it smells almost cooked. And into that, I'm going to add one finely chopped onion, as fine as I can chop it, and fry that off. And let that take on some colour and go nice and brown. So you can see the onions have gone nice and brown. Now into that, I'm going to add half a tin of tomatoes. If you can't get tins of tomatoes locally, please feel free to use fresh tomatoes and grind them. If you're using fresh tomatoes, I would suggest you use 2 big ones or 3 small ones. Now we just cook this down. So while that's happening, I'm going to crack on with my yogurt mix. Turmeric and about a teaspoon and a bit of chili powder. Give that a stir. Mix it all in. Look at that lovely colour. And now this will go into my onion, tomato and ginger garlic mix. Stir that through and let that cook down for about 5-7 minutes. So this recipe I have had before years ago, but on a recent visit last year when I went home for Christmas, I rediscovered my passion for chicken do pyaaza. That flavour of onions, there's a sweetness, there's a sourness, there's a spiciness. So I was practicing it at home with my mother and I thought, why not share this recipe with you lovely people? Right, that's kind of cooked down. So into this I will add about a teaspoon of coriander powder, about a teaspoon of cumin powder, paprika. Now I like to add this because it gives a lovely vibrant colour, not so much heat. Salt to taste, always check. So this is a blend of garam masala that I've made specially for this. It's got black cardamom in it, green cardamom, cinnamon and cloves, and you just need about a good heaped teaspoon of this. Just grind it and add it to that. Now we need to give this a stir. Oh, you can see it's become thick and luscious. It smells very fragrant. Now I'm going to add some green chilli. These are an optional extra. Please do not add if you don't like. Chuck 3 in, marvellous. Give that a stir. So now I'm going to add my marinated chicken with all that juice as well. So now I'm going to add the second lot of onions. Now the first lot were the finely chopped, or as finely as I can chop them. The second is a rough chop. That goes in with the chicken. Right, you can see that's bubbling very nicely. Now I'm going to add a little bit of water just to make a bit of a gravy. I don't want the gravy to be too watery, but I want it to be thicker. But at the same time, adding water will help cook the chicken faster. So I'm going to give that a stir, get it all mixed in. Now I'm going to cover that with a lid and leave it to cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. Right, let's see how this is coming along. Oh, it smells delicious. Let me just have a quick check on my chicken. See how well it's cooked. See, it's coming off the bone. Marvellous. So that's taken about 15-20 minutes. So this is almost ready. To just freshen it up, I'm going to add about a chopped tomato, and to just enforce the onion in the Do Pyaaza, I'm going to add a little bit of chopped onion. That's my personal choice. You can leave it out if you so wish to. One chopped tomato, just chuck that in, and a little bit more chopped onion, just to give it that oniony zing at the end, and some dried fenugreek. Give it a stir. It's beautiful. So with the residual heat, the onion that I've just added will soften, but not too much. There'll still be a little bit of bite in there, as will the tomato. And final garnish of some fresh, vibrant green coriander. Stalk as well. So just chop it in and stir all that in. That is delicious. Lovely. And there you have it. And there you go, guys, my delicious chicken do pyaaza, or in my case, teen pyaaza. Smells delicious, great with a hot buttered naan. Yum. Enjoy.
Chicken Hyderabadi is a very simple recipe where the most important step is marinating the chicken. So let's begin with that first. The first thing that you require is yogurt. To this, I'm adding in blanched almond paste. You blanch almonds in hot water, peel them and run it into a fine and smooth paste. You can add in a little water if required. Coconut milk, ginger, garlic and green chili paste. Time to add in the powder spices. The first thing is roasted cumin powder, turmeric powder, red chili powder. You can use a variety of chili that gives you good spice and not so much color. The next thing that I'm adding in is garam masala, crushed coriander seeds which have been lightly toasted, some strands of saffron. Well, you can just toast this lightly and crush it like so. I'm adding in fried onions, which we also need to crush a little. To this, I'm adding in freshly squeezed lemon. To this, let's add in a few flavoring ingredients. To begin with, fresh coriander leaves. Let's chop these finely. Some mint leaves. Let's chop these also finely. Some fresh green chilies. I'm just going to slit these like so and transfer all of this into this bowl of the other ingredients. Time to add in some freshly crushed black pepper along with some vegetable oil, some ghee for flavor, and last but not the least, salt as required. Well, do remember that we are not going to season this again unless required. Let's whisk all of this. Once all of this is nicely mixed together, we'll add in pieces of washed and clean chicken. What I'm using in this case are chicken legs and thigh, while that choice is completely yours. You can also use chicken breast or you can use an entire chicken. Let's push all of these pieces in the marination. And finally, we need to cover this and keep it to rest for a minimum of 2 hours. Well, the best option here is also keeping this overnight. The chicken has marinated for 2 hours. Let's give this a quick check and another mix. Well, now that this is marinated well, the cooking will actually surprise you. All we need to do is take any kadhai or a pan and heat it on high flame. The next step is transferring all of this marinated chicken into the pan. Ensure you scrape all the marination from this bowl. Push the pieces of chicken down in the marination, and that is all that you need to do. Isn't that simple? You need to cover this, cook it on high flame for the first 5 minutes, lower the flame and cook it for further 35 minutes. It's been 40 minutes, the chicken would have perfectly cooked well. Now we need to keep this undisturbed for the next 5 minutes so that the oil on top floats and kind of settles a little. It's been 5 minutes. Let's serve this. And this goes amazing with naan, roti or paan. This Hyderabadi chicken indeed is quick, easy and simple. Do try this at home, you'll definitely love it. Wait for what next the Bombay chef gets into your kitchen, and do not forget to like and share the video and subscribe to get curried. When we talk about cooking techniques, pan searing is one of those that takes chicken to a completely different level. And with the combination of garlic, basil and olive oil, you're in for a sure treat. Today, let's make a simple restaurant-style meal which is called Pesto Chicken. So let's get cracking. The first step is to get our pesto right, which is an Italian sauce made out of basil leaves. So the first thing is, I'm taking the basil leaves in a grinder. To this, the next thing that goes in are some cloves of garlic, followed by some cashew nuts. I'm using cashew nuts because they are economically viable and easily available in India. But nevertheless, the original recipe calls for pine nuts. The next thing that goes in is Parmesan cheese. I'm going to grate this. To bring out the flavors and to season the sauce, a little bit of salt. Add lesser because the Parmesan already has salt. And with that, a little bit of pepper. To grind this, I'm going to use some olive oil. And this is a sauce that does not use water at all. Grind this into a fine or a coarse paste depending on your choice. With this, a basil pesto is ready. And this is traditionally made in a mortar and pestle. Now that's ready, let's move on to prepping the chicken. I've taken a breast of chicken. I'm going to trim all the fat. The next step is to retain the shoulder bone and trim all the meat around it. This step is classically known as Frenching the bone. However, if you're not comfortable keeping the bone, you can remove it off from here, or alternately use boneless chicken. The next step is creating some gashes. Instead of creating gashes like we always do, I'm going to cut them in a crisscross pattern so that eventually it looks nice on the plate. With this, our chicken breast is ready. Let's process the other pieces similarly. All these trimmings can be used for a nice and simple stir fry, so do not discard this. Now that the chicken is trimmed and ready, let's begin marinating it. To this, I'll be adding in a basil pesto, and along with this, some salt and some olive oil. Give this a nice mix. Make sure the pesto is rubbed into each and every gash and crevice, and allow this to marinate for a minimum of 30 minutes. The chicken has marinated for 30 minutes. Let's now begin pan searing it. For that, I've taken an iron pan in which I'm adding very little of olive oil again. Let the oil be minimum because the marination already has a lot of oil. The next thing is to place the gash side in oil and allow it to pan sear. Increase the flame and allow it to pan sear on high flame for 2 minutes. Time to give this a flip. Allow this to pan sear on the second side as well for 2 minutes. And while doing this, let's put in the remaining sauce. This step is technically called basting and keeps the meat nice and juicy. At this stage, we need to lower the flame, tilt the pan, and throw the oil on the chicken piece. Once this is done, on low flame itself, we need to cover this and allow this to cook for 10 to 12 minutes. Generally in restaurants, at this stage, I plunge it into an oven at 200 degrees for 12 minutes again. Let's give this a quick check. To serve this with, I'm just going to use some cherry tomatoes. Cut these into random halves like so. And you can also retain a few whole ones. Increase the flame, turn the pan on one side and throw in the tomatoes. Once this is done, off goes the flame and let's begin to serve. And finally, some fresh leaves of basil. With this, your simple restaurant-style chicken pesto is ready. And while you're trying this, wait for what next the Bombay chef gets into your kitchen.
Today I'm going to show you a recipe which everyone will love. It's the creamy mushroom chicken. For that, I'm going to marinate 250 grams of boneless chicken with a teaspoon of mixed herbs. Here I have some pepper with lemon. I'm going to add a teaspoon of that as well. In case you don't find this lemon pepper mix, all you need to do is squeeze juice of half a lemon and you can add quarter teaspoon of pepper powder. A tablespoon of olive oil, half a teaspoon of garlic paste, and I'm going to mix this really well. Since the lemon pepper mixture already has salt, I'm not going to add extra salt to this. Now let's keep this aside for 10 minutes and let's prepare the mushroom sauce. For the sauce, I'm going to heat a tablespoon of olive oil, and once the olive oil is hot, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of garlic paste. Just saute it for a few seconds. I'm going to add one small onion that I finely chopped, and I'm going to saute this till it's nice, soft and pink. I'm not going to make it too brown. I have 2 cups of mushrooms here, button mushrooms, which I have sliced. I'm going to add this as well. I'm going to keep the flame on a high. I'm going to saute these mushrooms till they go half in quantity. I'm not adding any salt because I don't want it to sweat, and the flame is on a high as well. I'm going to add a tablespoon of mustard sauce to this. Saute it. Here I have a mixture of half cup cream and half cup milk, which I'm going to add to this. So it's going to give the sauce a nice creamy texture and flavor as well. I'm going to reduce the flame. Very little salt to this. Mix this well and cook it on a low flame for 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to add a tablespoon of Parmesan cheese and a tablespoon of fresh parsley that I have chopped. Mix this well and our mushroom sauce is ready. I'm going to keep this aside and I'm going to heat a grill pan. The grill pan is nice and hot. I'm going to just grill the pieces of chicken on this. We're going to grill these marinated chicken cubes for almost 3 to 4 minutes on each side. We've grilled this chicken on either side for 3 to 4 minutes. And our chicken is also ready. Now let's assemble this dish. I've already warmed up the mushroom sauce, which I'm going to pour on my serving platter. And on top of this, let's place the grilled chicken pieces. I'm going to sprinkle a teaspoon of grated Parmesan cheese, some fresh parsley that I have chopped here, and our creamy mushroom chicken is ready to be served. It goes very well with crisp garlic bread. So do try this recipe and let me know.